Hey all, here at OS Reviews, you're watching our hands-on review of the Wiwoo B4. This is a MP3 player that's designed for kids, as you can tell with this interesting pattern for the D-pad, and it starts at $25 for the 8GB model, so it's fairly inexpensive. It goes up a little higher if you want the 16 or 32 gig models. Now it does have a micro SD card slot as well, so you can always just expand it yourself depending on your preferences. The packaging here is pretty simple. It does also have an FM radio, but more interestingly, it advertises a game player, so we'll have to see what types of content that you have on board. It has a mic, so you can use it for recording digital notes. The screen size is 1.8 inches, and it will take about 2.5 hours to charge, which is a little longer than usual. The battery, though, will last you for about 15 hours, 20 hours of continuous playback for audio before you need to recharge it again. And what's interesting here is it says it's designed in Germany, but made in China. So maybe the company here is actually a German brand, which is kind of interesting, not just a Shenzhen company. Now here is a player itself. We also have some pretty low-cost budget earbuds in the box, and then there's just the instruction manual, and that's it. As a quick size comparison, here is another MP3 player in about the same price range. This is by On. It also has 1.8 inches for the display size, and you can tell that the overall dimensions are about the same in terms of the thickness as well as the overall form factor and weight. Now Wiwoo has coated this entire thing in a soft touch rubber material, which is what makes it more durable for kids, as well as less resistant to scratches, smudges, and it will probably absorb shock a little better as well in the case that you accidentally drop it onto the floor. Now on the side here we have a hole that will lock all the keys when you're not using it. There's a microphone, there's a dedicated power switch, micro USB for charging, headphone ports, and then micro SD for expanding the built-in memory, and that's pretty much it. Now none of the ports are covered up with a rubber flap, so this is not a waterproof MP3 player, so even though it's geared for kids, it's not going to be something that will survive a drop into water. So here's the interface. It's very simple, but it's customized by the company, and the screen here is just a TFT LCD. It's not an IPS panel, which means that, again, viewing angles are going to be a little bit weaker, and it's not going to be super ideal for watching videos, but for things like general navigation for music, it should be all right. And we can navigate up and down using the volume keys here. So going up and down corresponds to the movement here. And if you want to tap on OK, you press on the play pause key to go inside. If you want to exit, you tap on the back key once. The M key is for giving you additional menu options. So for instance, if you're playing back a song, you can tap on that to take a look at equalizer settings, for instance. So the first thing I want to take a look at is going to be the game, because that's kind of what is advertised as a little bit different from other models on the market. But it seems like there's not really a huge selection. This is in fact kind of a brick breaker slash kind of Tetris game that we've been seeing actually on other budget MP3 players in the past already. So in that instance, I don't really think that it's anything super different, but you're able to kind of move the blocks around. And if you want to change kind of the shape, you can tap on the play pause key there just to move it around. So again, it's a pretty limited selection. I do know that a few other really low-cost MP3 players in the past actually did have a few games on there, including Snake, for instance, but this one only has one game. So I do hope that they will expand on that, because if this is really marketed towards kids, they probably want more than just one title. When it comes to audio quality, at least it does perform quite well. In fact, it supports most lossless formats like FLAC, so MP3 players have gotten a lot better over the past few years. It used to be that these features were only reserved for audiophile grade, much more expensive players, but now even ones like these can support many audio formats. Quality of the sound also seemed to be pretty good in my testing. I tried them out with more expensive earphones, and in general I was impressed with the detail. The headphone ports produced pretty clean overall sound without any static or distortion, and the tracks themselves, as long as they're in good quality, can be enjoyed, again, in pretty good resolution, I'd say. Maybe even slightly better than on a typical smartphone, although if you have a more expensive flagship like an LG, which tends to have a DAC these days, then perhaps you may get slightly better audio from that. But then again, this is really just a fraction of the price. Here are a few sample images to take a quick look at kind of what the photo viewback experience is like. And overall, I would say that it's all right, but it's not anything really ideal. It's kind of like a digital photo frame. The screen, again, is quite small, but if you want to, you can definitely store some images onto the device's built-in memory. Going back again, I would say that playing back videos is largely the same as the photo viewback experience, except the codecs and formats that it supports is pretty limited. In fact, it only supports AVI and AMV, so if you have a converter, then it will work. Some phones may already record video in AVI, but the majority record them in MP4. So if you have a regular MP4 video, it's not going to load back automatically. Finally, the FM radio also works pretty well, but you need headphones to be plugged in to act as the antenna, and the voice recorder is also a pretty handy feature. I like the fact that it's placed on the side of the player this time around instead of being on the bottom, where it's more easily covered up when you're holding it. So that's more or less it as far as our hands-on review of the Wiwoo B4. Again, this is an MP3 MP4 player that's designed and advertised for kids. It really has a unique kind of outer shell design, which is more durable than usual because of the soft touch rubber that's coated across the entire thing, compared to a cheaper, harder plastic on most players on the market. But as far as the internals are concerned, there's really not a huge amount of difference between something like this and another player, just because, again, the selection of games is a little bit limited. Audio quality, though, is quite good, but so is many other players in the price range these days. The navigation with the UI is also very intuitive and overall pretty well thought out. The keys themselves are tactile and responsive. The player feels well constructed, despite the fact it doesn't have integrated Bluetooth or a built-in speaker. So you can check out more details about this unit if you're planning on giving it to a child. I would say it's a pretty decent fit just because it works well enough and has a more durable build than typical. But if you want the most feature-packed player in the world, then you probably should look elsewhere. So you can check out more details in the links down below, but for now, that's been our video. Thanks for watching here at OS Reviews.